Good evening, everybody. I'm Greg, and I'm the host of Mariner Spirit. I apologize for being late tonight. We had some technical difficulties. I think we're okay now, aren't we, Lynn?
Yes, we are okay.
Okay, that's great. Thank God for that. I'm going to have to light a candle tomorrow for that one, I'll tell you there, because I don't know what the heck happened there.
I don't know, but whatever it is, they don't want us talking about them, so they're messing.
Okay, so before I start interviewing you, I'm going to leave you right where you are. I'm not going to press any extra buttons, but I'm going to go through my intro of how I go ahead and start the show, and then I'll start with you. Is that okay?
That sounds great to me.
Okay. So to start off, I want to go ahead and say, number one, thank you to Supernatural Link, to Katie and KD for supporting me and the shows that I have on here. They have been outstanding. I don't know what's going on, and I apologize to everybody once again because this is some sort of technical end on my end, I believe, with my mic, and I have my old mic back on, and I brought a brand new mic, and the mic was doing fine this afternoon. I tested it out and everything, and then we want to start out, and like Lynn said, maybe it was somebody didn't want us to go ahead and talk about them. So before we go any farther, I'm just going to go ahead and mention the people that I support. I support Potographs with Tim Miley and Lauren, great group of individuals who they started Potographs, or Tim started it a long time ago, and it's a nonprofit organization for homeless pups and things like that, and all the money they do goes to supporting the animal community. Secondly is PKC, Paranormal Kicks Cancer, with Chris Gaskowski and Alex Wilkinson, and they're going strong, and they're from down in Florida, and they'll be on shortly, but I just wanted to go ahead and make sure we mentioned them again. And then thirdly is the Jessica Petrie Foundation. Jessica Petrie was the daughter of Howard Petrie, who was the founder of PUN and the Parallax Network. And he's done a great job. His father just died this last week, so keep him in your prayers. And that foundation is a resource for expecting mothers and families of pregnant women with mental illness. So that's the people I support. And now I'm just going to mention the authors. And before I get into the authors, I'm going to go ahead and mention the Texas Wraith Hunters, which is my group. And I give a shout out to Anthony and everybody in the group. They're great people, and they keep me in line. Next, we'll go ahead and we'll just mention authors real fast. And the authors we have are Bruce Holliday, Tobias Wayland, Adam Benedict, Kathy Kressel, Barnaby Jones, Sherilyn Cotter, Dr. Heatherly Langdon, Lynn Monet, Ron Iacovetti, Victoria Munday, Tony Rathman, Natalie Jones, Patty Negri, Sylvia Schultz, Amelia Cotter, Rex Nielsen, David Sloan, Christina Bloom, D.A. Wysong, and Joseph Hallett. And those are two authors that I had on last week. That's why I was hesitant there, because I didn't have her name printed out right. So we're at that point now where, we're going to go ahead, and I'm going to go ahead and bring on Lynn. She doesn't have a camera tonight, so we're going to interview her just like this, and it's going to be fine. So everybody, if you've got questions, please post them in the comment section. And welcome, Lynn. It's great to have you back. I've always been a big fan of yours, and you've done some awesome things for the community. And I just want to say it's always neat to have you on.
Oh my gosh, I was so thrilled, Greg, when you reached out. You're one of my favorites as well. I'm a big, huge fan. And thank you so much for having me. It's always a pleasure, always.
So for the people that are in the chat right now, I said that you were an amazing person. You're a nurse, psychic, empath, a death doula, and paranormalist. And that doesn't really sum up everything you've been doing lately, because you've been doing much more on the author end, I understand. So why don't you go ahead and update everybody with everything you've been doing and where you stand today?
Okay, I'm actually finishing. I was sick for 2 weeks, so I was kind of taking it easy and dealing with some family issues for almost the last month. So I've been kind of laying low a little bit. But I've got a new release that is waiting to come out. It's ready to come out. I've just got a few things to do first to get that out. It'll be 111 Becca Dawn Drive, which is another experience that occurred for me in a townhouse that I moved into that was had a male ghost that was going from townhouse to townhouse, entertaining himself with the women tenants. So yes, and I'm also in the process of writing the fourth book in the Omnipresent series, which is Omnipresent Gnome Place Like Home, which is a story. It's again, I inherited a piece of property that had sour soil. There was a lot of dark issues with that property. But now it is an amazing piece of property. It actually sits on a crossroad of ley lines. Therefore, the house itself is a portal. I'm going to be doing and sorry, I've got a mosquito flying around my head. So if you hear me smack something, that's what it is. But
you can smack me.
Yeah, woo. Anyway, so I after cleaning up all of that and placing some feral, a whole bunch of feral spirits that were kind of entertaining themselves in the house as well, because the house is vacant. I've done a lot of things, but I've got to engage with the Fae and elementals on the property, which are just absolutely precious. There's also a resident Cajun man named Bruce. He's a spirit that has crossed over, but he chooses to come back and stay there. He loves the place because his one-room shack was built between two of the oak trees in the front yard, and he loves to come to see the views in the morning and the evening time of the sunrise and sunset. And he's always smiling. He's always smiling. He's got his straw hat on, and he is also absolutely precious. So we've got some beautiful things going on out there. I've been learning a lot more about the Fae and elemental realms, which wasn't my forte. I mean, I kind of got plopped into it. Like I said, some negative things happened first, and then they blossomed into something very, very wonderful. I will be writing a follow-up book to that called Omnipresent You Don't Know Me, which will go into the first book kind of goes yeah. The first book the first book Omnipresent no the first book of the gnome series is actually going into another one. Is it talks about how I obtained the house and how all of that happened and clearing it out and meeting Bob. We call him Bob. Bob travels with me a lot of times to events. Many people have seen him. As a matter of fact, when psychics are at events and I have him with me, they're all walking up to me and they'll tell me, you have a little boy following you around. Well, of course, he's under 3 feet tall and he does exude masculine energy. And they don't bother to mention that he's an interesting looking little boy. They don't want to be rude. So, but to me, he's absolutely adorable, but he is just precious. I've had Jim Rupert and his wife come out to the property. They've actually seen Bob up close and personal. Brian Bowden has also seen
Wow.
him. Brian Bowden came to he did some remote viewing for me, but he also came to the Gettysburg bash last year, not this past year. I was in Florida and I wasn't able to go. So he was last year, but I was breaking down my table. It was on the last day of the event. And he came over and was helping me. And he looks and he says, Bob's sitting in that chair. And sure enough, Bob was sitting there and he has his little feet going back and forth like windshield wipers with a shit-eating grin on his face, just watching people, just thrilled to watch humans do human things. And I'm like, you're right, he is. As a matter of fact, he's sitting there. So Brian has also seen him and can verify that he is in fact real. Quite a few people have seen him actually, but he is such a joy. I was asked by the elemental realms to write this, gnome place like home, and then the next book, You Don't Know Me, and then there will be a third book to talk about more things that they teach me and want to have humans be aware of, because they're ready with these frequency changes that we're going through right now and the dimensional changes that we're going to, where there's this split between the third and the fifth, and some of us are lingering in the fourth right now, where that definite separation is going to occur. We're going to start seeing more of these beings that are boots on the ground side by side with us, like the Bigfoots and the angels and all of those, things like that. We're going to be seeing more of them because the filters between the dimensions in those realms will be effacing even more. So we will see them almost as plain as we see each other. So anyway, then when it goes into the book of You Don't Know Me, it then talks about the beautiful crystalline cities in the ocean and the bioluminescent beaches that the night fae live on, and how they travel and how, that sort of thing. And so I'm really looking forward to finishing up this series. In the meantime, I have been a little bit delayed. I have been taking a mace class, so I will be booking people starting the middle of October for mace, which is a no talk therapy. It helps with addiction. It helps with ADHD. It helps with post-traumatic stress. It's a miracle thing. I actually had Dr. Jerry Marvinsky call me one day and he said, I'm becoming a mace practitioner. Do you mind if I practice on you? And I'm like, yeah, I know I've got my issues too, but I've dealt with most of my stuff. And sure enough, I'm like, sure, you can use me as a guinea pig. I didn't expect anything. I thought, oh, well, okay, I'll help him out. He's a friend. And sure enough, it blew my mind, absolutely blew my mind, because the way that it works is it's a no talk therapy. Because no talk therapy, the traditional talk therapy, people, if they were to realize the power of their minds and the ability that have their thoughts, and then the verbalizations, even how strong that puts a double whammy, so to speak, out into the universe, and you create what you put out. So why would anybody want to sit there and talk about the who did me wrong song, like a country song broken record, and manifest that to come back to them in their future? So actually the traditional talk therapy is counterproductive. This is no talk therapy. It doesn't matter what happened, when it happened, who it happened with, or who caused it. What matters is the way that it made you feel and it works with the auric field, the field that the medical field doesn't even recognize, because you can't, they only deal with things that they can see and touch. So and the auric field everyone has. And how many times have you, for instance, heard somebody say, well, if my dog likes that person, then I know they're okay? Or you're sitting in a restaurant and somebody's staring at the back of your head and you feel it enough to make you turn around to look to see who it is.
Right.
Those energy fields that we have is where the feelings get locked up. And when they get locked up, they're like, as my daughter expressed it, they're like speed bumps that throughout life you react based on those speed bumps, and instead of responding. So what it does is it clears those ridges. And when I say ridges, I mean like buttons. Like you'll say that oh wow, so and so really knows how to get my goat or push my buttons. What this does is it clears the buttons, so no one will have that control over you anymore. You don't change as a person, you become a better you, the true you that you're supposed to be, where you've been operating half-mast, so to speak, with
Right.
all of these things that you're carrying along, and it allows you to be who you really are. And so I was absolutely shocked with some of the things that I went through in my life that I didn't realize that I did have, say, like rigid religion, for instance, and my mom taking that when I was 10 years old, still seeing things, and then my mom shifting into a very, very strict religion that was not about that kind of stuff, and basically scared the Jesus out of me, because telling me I was going to die in Armageddon. And damn mosquito, I think I got it.
Got it.
And all of those sorts of things with 10 years old made me want to wet my pants standing in front of all of these elders. So I hid my gifts. So I had some post-traumatic stress and some other things too, growing up with an abusive father. But some of those things that I reflect on, before I had the therapy, I would start getting anxiety. My heart would start racing, and I would remember that flight fright moment of needing to run for it. But now when I look at it, it's like looking through a window, and the event is still occurring, and I can look at it and I can say, oh, that's so awful that that happened, but I can step away and not have that anxiety flight fright response type thing, which is great. I also had my children, two of them have it done, and they were both a little skeptical, and they're like, well, I don't want to change too much. And I got phone calls from both of them the next day. Mom, you would not believe, that guy, yeah, they're like, oh my God, my daughter has struggled with ADHD, my oldest daughter. And she said, Mom, you know what? She said, I can actually sit in a conversation now and hear people. She said, before it was like sitting in a fishbowl, because I would be hyper focusing on something to not forget by the time I got done with my lunch that I needed to do, that I was never like included in the conversations. And now I can actually hear people, and then
Wow.
my son told me, he said, yeah, Mommy, says that guy in the office that just, I couldn't stand him, he drove me nuts. He says he really, really would aggravate me, and it was very distracting for him with his job, that it was to the point that he was almost even going to lose his job. And lo and behold, he's like, you know what, he doesn't bother me at all, he just does his thing and I do mine. And now my son's like number one at his job. He's actually teaching people how to do his job. So he went from rags to riches, so to speak, because the therapy gave him the self-confidence and removed the triggers that were holding him back. And for having him hyper focus on other people instead of focusing on what he needed to do. So it's an amazing thing. I'm going to be Greg's going to be one of my guinea pigs too. So I'm going to be giving out some freebies to friends. And the thing about it is a lot of times it only takes one session.
Wow.
Yeah,
That sounds very interesting.
Yeah, and it has this rippling, almost blossoming kind of effect, where it continues to open like a beautiful flower. So you don't even get the full effect of it for a period. I mean, you notice the effect of it, but it continues to get better and better and better and better and better. And sometimes too, it'll remove the big stuff first, usually. And then all of a sudden, you'll notice the things that were kind of at medium level. So you'll have to call me up and say, hey, you'll start noticing your ridges, and you'll be like, I was with somebody the other day and they triggered a ridge, and I need you to help me fix it. So you call me up, we take 5 minutes, we fix it. So it's a new kind of therapy. There are only 9 practitioners in the United States that do this, that are certified to do it. There are a lot of people that are claiming they're certified and they're not, and they're charging a ridiculous amount of money. My fees will be very, very reasonable. Greg is free, of course, but my fees will be very, very reasonable, because there's such a need for this to help people have better lives. And it does heal so many things. It helps, like I said, ADHD, it helps addiction, it helps. I mean, a friend that had it done also recently was a severe alcoholic, and I mean, kept falling off of the wagon. And now, he looks at the stuff and he's like, eh, you know, I don't even desire it anymore. I don't even think about it anymore. He's just with himself. I mean, he's usually you have to continue with like your 12-step program, and you always have
Right.
that little monkey in the back of your head that's trying to tempt you all of the time, and
Right.
and it's not able to do that anymore. So because whatever mechanism or feeling that you were trying to douse out, that you didn't want to feel through the self-medicating, is gone. The reason for it is gone. So instead of reacting in life, you will start responding in life, and that's a difference with it. So now, instead of being a human doing, you will be a human being. And so like I said, I'm finishing up those classes. I'm in my internship as we speak. That was just also put me behind a little bit on the books, but I'm really looking forward to helping people transition into a healthier future. So
That really sounds fantastic. And I know that with the way things are today, and we're talking about going into another realm now,
yes,
advancing, that this may be very intricate in the accomplishment of that.
that is absolutely right. A lot of people, some of their things kind of hold them back. They always have held them back, and this will help that, so that does not happen. And they'll kind of catapult in. They'll be ready. I mean, it's all good, and it doesn't hurt you. Like I said, it's a no talk therapy. I don't need to know about anything that happened to you, or who did it. I just need to help you release your issues with whatever the feeling is that got because when we have a feeling that we don't like, we resist it. So when we resist it, it's like the mountains, that they come together and make peaks because they crash into each other. And so you end up with these ridges, and those ridges, they don't go away until you take those buttons away, so to speak. And again, it's all energetic. I mean, it's not a mental thing at all. It's a feeling thing, and feeling in the sense it's different than emotions. So yeah, so it's completely different, and it's so effective. I can't wait to do it on you, Greg, because you're going to call me and you're going to say, no shit. You're going to be like, you're going to call me up, and your wife, or is going to be like, wow, there's some changes, and then you're going to want me to do your whole family. So but anyway, yeah, because it's just, yeah, it's a wonderful, wonderful thing. It's new and upcoming, and it is exactly right up the alley of these frequency changes, these dimension. It's not frequency, it's frequency and dimensional changes.
Yeah,
we are shifting into. So and it's going to be a wonderful thing. It really, really is. So we've got a wild ride between now, I would say, and even really, really a wild ride that's intense maybe for the next 2 years and 2.5 years or so. And then once we get into like 2032, things are going to start to open up the way that they're supposed to. But there are going to be people that want to remain in the third dimensional things that will die off eventually, and they will never reincarnate back here because the earth is no longer going to support the lower level dimensional energies, which is
Right.
a good thing. So anyway, I'm preaching
So
to the choir already now.
no, it's fantastic. It's a great way to start it out, and it's something that you seem to be very proud about, and that's what's great about you coming on is that you don't waste any time. They go right for the meat and potatoes. You know,
I
and
like
and,
I
and
like meat and potatoes.
yeah, and that's what I mean is that there's so many other things that you're involved with though, and for some of the people that aren't aware of it, and most of the people that are here, like, and I'm just going to mention their names real fast. We got Carol Garcia, we've got Kim Baranski, Adriana Trudel, we have Barbara Spear, we have Carol Garcia, we have Tom McNichols. You know who Tom McNichols is?
I
He's
believe so. Yeah.
yeah, he's the friend. He's the Nick Malay's partner in crime. So
Okay.
it's great to see him here too. And when we went ahead and we had you on the last time, we went ahead and talked a little bit about your situation with the two houses.
Yes.
And you've mentioned the two houses. You
Mm-hmm.
mentioned the sour soil, and you
Mm-hmm.
mentioned the elementals
Yes.
and the fae. And what is interesting to me now, and I'm going to ask you this question, is the fact that, you know, back then when I heard you talk about them in the beginning, there seemed to be a little aggressiveness on their part.
Yes.
Why do you think that is the case?
Well, first of all, I'd like to say the love conquers all. So, and that is a true
Okay.
statement. The reason why, there are multiple reasons. For one thing, they've been betrayed by humans for very, very long. And the thing is, I want to make clear to people these elementals and fae are boots on the ground. They are living with us, boots on the ground, but we can't see them because their frequency is higher than ours. So they're invisible to us, just like Bigfoot has learned to manipulate those frequencies as well. I did learn what Bigfoot was. They explained to me what he was. But he also manipulates those frequencies, and that's why he can disappear suddenly, smell and all, and yet be standing right next to you, and you can't see him. So it is a frequency a thing. Um, how it all kind of started was just to go back a little bit to talk about how my sister had passed away with the property. There were all kinds of problems with the property. Apparently, the house had foreclosed probably like 3 or 4 times over a 10-year period, where people just dropped and moved out. But my sister had actually paid cash for the house because the previous owner had started renovations on it, so there weren't even walls. It was just the woodwork that was waiting for the drywall, and there weren't doorways in there, and no bank would loan money for the house for that.
So
So she
they were all studs.
Yes, they were all studs. So she went ahead and a friend of hers helped her out, so she was able to get the house, and it's on this beautiful 2-acre lot. It's like right in the middle. And my sister had a huge bird aviary, and she was kind of famous in Louisiana. Actually, she was on the Jerry Lewis telethon that lets you know how old she is. It goes way, way back. A lot of people have never even heard of that before, but I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. The
Yeah.
muscular dystrophy thing. She was on the public television there, bringing her birds on. She would bring them to all kinds of events. And even though sales were drying up, and the thing was, is that they were trying to get her off and out of the house and the property. But the problem was that because she had paid cash for it, they were keeping her poor, and she had nowhere to go. So she was kind of stuck there, and they tortured her for 10 years. But the reason that they were upset with her. And just to go back to with humans, humans have betrayed them repeatedly. Even the Native Americans used to feed the puckwedgies to the giants in order to keep they would throw them up to the giants to feed the giants these puckwedgies so that the giants would then not eat their tribes. So they were, they were betrayed that way. And then you would have farmers, because God did create them and they do believe in source. They call God source. God is my word, source is their word, for the creator. And they were created to assist humans. So when farmers would plant crops, the elemental and the fae were never looking to be repaid in the sense like money or anything, but they would like, they always wanted to have, like, if you were making bread, for you to leave them a little bit of that bread, or if you had a crop that was growing that they assisted with, to give them a small portion of it, just so that they have, some of the things that they need too. And Bob does love Oreos and beignets, especially the double stuffed Oreos. So he does. He loves Oreos. So anyway, but what would happen is that these farmers would say, like, for instance, Bob was telling me this story, and like one of the farmers that he had helped, they would say to him, "Well, do you want what grows above the ground or what grows below the ground?" So he would pick above the ground, and they would plant potatoes. So when they would go in and collect all of those potatoes after they had grown to, and they were ready to be dug up, then he would get nothing because he picked the upper one. So then they'd ask again, well, what do you want this time? Do you want what grows above the ground or what grows below the ground? So this time he would pick what goes below the ground, and they would end up planting tomatoes. So again, he would, yeah, they were really crappy to them and betrayed them over and over. And the mentality of people in this third dimension, they want to possess and own things. They want that genie in the bottle moment type thing. And they have these expectations and demands that even when they asked me to write the books to connect the bridge between the humans and the Fey realm, because of this time of elevation of frequency and the dimensional changes where people are going to start seeing them with their own eyes again, as plain as they see you and me, I questioned it. I said, "Are you sure?" I said, because people aren't ready for this. They will want to own them like pets, and they're not pets. These are very, very, very old beings that were created at the time that Earth was created. So religious things do not work on them. A lot of times paranormal groups will go in and will mistake them as a child, and then they do these clearings and it doesn't work because religion doesn't work on aliens, and it does not work on Bigfoot, and it does not work on elementals and fae. It only works on ghosts. So, and that sort of thing. But everything kind of started with my sister around this rock. There was a rock in the yard that was just nondescript. It was about as big as my hand if my fingers were spread open. So it was a pretty good sized rock, and it was heart shaped. And I thought, when I was upstairs, after she had passed away, I was upstairs in her office where her filing cabinet was. And on top of her filing cabinet, she had this display of crystals and all of these things. And in with that was that rock. And I thought to myself, I'm have a garbage bag, and I'm throwing old papers away as I'm looking for papers that I need, because I had to start cleaning things out. And I picked up that rock, and the energy that shot from my hand up my arm actually hurt my teeth. I dropped it down immediately. It was almost like an electrical shock. It was that strong. And I'm like, whoa, I won't do that again. So there was something about that rock. And my sister inadvertently brought it in. It turned out, according to Bob, that the rock was an original piece of Mother Earth when she was created. He said that there are 5 pieces total, that all 5 pieces he has now brought to the property. He has a portal between the banana trees that he comes and goes through, as well as he's made the entire yard portals. He's put together all of these stones and rocks and crystals and things that I've brought for him, that the yard sometimes looks like a quilt only triangles instead of squares with gold and silver and blue glistening lines that bring through all kinds of things. But anyway, with this whole rock thing, he used to come in from underneath the house up through this understair area which Brian Bowden mapped out perfectly when he was talking about it, up into this third bedroom to visit his rock. And the thing about his rock is too, that I found out after the fact, is that this rock was his precious. It literally was. He loved the rock would tell him stories of very, very long time ago. So it was his entertainment too. And also it had other things that he could not disclose to the humans of what other powers or whatever it is that it had. So this was something very precious to him. And I think that, my sister was made very, very sick in that house. She battled cancer 3 times, and a lot of things were exacerbated because Bob was pissed off that she took his rock. And, to put myself into his shoes, because I know my sister's in a better place and I look at death different than most people do. And I'm actually happy for her that she's actually living and off of this earth, because this earth is not a fun place to be. I just lost my train of thought. What was I saying about Bob
The
before
rock.
that? Oh yeah, the rock.
The rock.
So, I mean, if somebody were to kidnap one of my children, which is what that rock was like to him, I would want them dead too. I'd be sending them zingers. I would be doing things to hurt them and make them give me the rock back. But the thing is that when my son and I went to, many things happened. We saw Bob walking through the house. And you have to negotiate with them. You can't just
tell them.
Yeah, you can't tell them. I mean, these it took a while to build up the trust. But I remember when we were getting ready to leave, one of the many times that we were leaving, we had placed the rock in a special place, and we said, listen, where would you like us to place your rock? Because people can see where it is right now. Do you want it buried? Do you want it whatever? And he requested to have it placed in a special area that was like right out in the open in the front yard. And I'm like, anybody can see that. Are you sure? And he said, no, I'll make it invisible. Well, the next time that we came back, the grass had grown over it and you couldn't see it anymore. Yeah. Yeah. He really did make it invisible. And so the thing is the last time that I was at the house, I brought some, Bill and I like to do mining. And so I brought some volcano dirt that had never been touched by anybody except for us. And some crystals. They like them rough. They don't like them all shiny and refined, because they're actually relatives, by the way. I mean, there's so many things that people don't even realize about furniture and things like that, which I'll go into that a little bit more too, because everything has an energy and has a spirit to it. So even when a tree's cut down and a table's made out of it, that energy, and Brian Bowden actually pointed this out, and it makes sense, that energy remains in that wood. Right. So it is alive. And so anyway, so I brought the crystals and I went and I put them in this one area, a whole handful of them. I think I had like 8 of them. And then I had also brought some seashells that I had gotten from the ocean on a trip. And that was also very, very interesting. Because I would float in the water with my snorkel on, and I would radiate love into the water. And every time I would open my eyes and look a little bit into the distance, there would be this perfect shell just sitting there right on the sand, on the ocean floor. And I would go pick it up. So I get beautiful shells. So I thought that they would be interesting to bring him the shells, because these were the jewels of the ocean. And then he would have more things to tell him, different kinds of stories. So the crystals even that I brought him, I had picked up, I got turquoise from Mexico. I got some obsidian from not Bangladesh, but different areas. I got topaz from Peru. I got different crystals from Madagascar was another place too, from all over, to bring to him so that he would have rocks to tell him stories, new stories, because he loves stories. So anyway, I put them all together in a cluster, and I kind of put the dirt on the side, and lo and behold, the next morning I got up and I walked out to see the sunset, the sun coming up. And I just out of curiosity, I walked over to the area that I had placed the crystals, and there was only one left. All the rest of them were gone. So he had been picking them up and placing them in the yard, and the one that was left was a crystal quartz that had little teeth things on it, and that literally was the only thing left. Even the dirt was gone that I had put in a pile there of the volcano dirt that came from the inside of a sapphire mine in North Carolina. So yeah, he does things in the yard. The sad thing is about the Fae and elemental realms is that traditional religion has demonetized them, in the sense that originally the elementals and Fae's leader was Lucifer. And Lucifer, when he was God's favorite, he was the most intelligent angel of music. And of course, we all know that he took things into his own hands and got kicked out. So the elementals and Faes kind of followed, just like, the Hatfields and the McCoys and the Republicans and the Democrats. You just kind of follow aimlessly. You don't question, you kind of follow. And then they kind of
loyalty.
Yes, exactly. And so then they started to realize the direction that Lucifer had taken, and they've been coming away from that. They've been coming away from that back onto this earth. And the thing is, the thing that I have learned, which a lot of us watching this show have learned, is that demons don't have the ability to experience love or joy or happiness. As a matter of fact, it's a repellent to them. I mean, it's like a stench in the room. So, they want to be around the lush that's created by sadness and depression and anger and fighting and addiction and all of those sorts of things. But they can't stand to be around, love or joy or any of those things. And elementals and Fae have the same emotions that we have. They have the ability to grieve loss because they're able to love. And when they're around, the energy that they emit, that they bring with them, is similar to the energy that I have experienced as a nurse when people are getting ready to transition over to the other side. It's that same vibration of energy, and they carry it with them. And there are no human words that can express it. And there's not a feeling that can touch it. It just is. Only people that have experienced can understand the joyous vibration. I mean, the giggling and they're just, oh my gosh, they're just precious, absolutely precious.
That's gotta be awesome.
Yeah, and there's a lot of them on the property because they're welcome there, and they're all in my house all the time. My daughter was telling me, she says, yeah, there were a couple of them sitting on my bed the other night, and they're tiny. They're little. Some of them are under like a foot and a half tall. So the feet, and Bob is one of the taller ones. Actually, he's under 3 feet tall, but he's pretty close to that 3 foot marker. And of course the Queen Mother, which I sent you a picture. I sent you 2 pictures. One of them is the Queen Mother. She comes in with the Night Fae. When she lays down, she looks like a very, very elegant deer with sticks for antlers, like she's a stick figure, but she looks like an elegant deer. However, when she walks around, she does not walk on all fours. She walks on her hind legs, and she literally looks like a walking log with her head and then these antlers, and those antlers probably come up to about 5 feet tall. And she comes in with the beautiful blue Night Fae. The blue Night Fae, they come in to help guide animals that are sick, help them find food, help them heal things. And they'll be very, very happy to tell you that they prefer the night because during the daytime, the trees are quite the talkers and they're too noisy. So they like the peace and quiet of the night, which even scientists have found how trees and their root systems are almost like telephone lines to each other, and they do communicate between one another under the ground. So I thought that was kind of funny. But yeah, Bob actually had a rabbit. It was a white rabbit, and it was his companion. I mean, they did a lot of things together. And when that rabbit passed away, he almost wanted to go with it, because that's how much he loved that rabbit. And Bob is kind of unique in the sense that um, he he was he does things. He's called a rock in, not like rock in, but like rock in. And what he does is he works with things in the soil, the roots, everything underneath the ground. You can always hear him mulling around underneath the house and underneath the front porch deck under the house. He's always doing things. But what he has explained is that his father was also a rockin', and his mother was of everything that grows above the ground. And usually the two don't get together. It's kind of a no-no. So he's actually biracial in that sense, and which makes him unique in the sense that he's accepted by all, but he has never taken a partner because his sisters and brother. I think he said 7 brothers and like 5 sisters or something, and all of them looked more like one or the other. And he's kind of that blend where he's got that rocky looking skin. He's got the squared off head with the ears, but he's got tendrils of roots coming down his head, almost like little hairs on the sides, and which are from his mother. His mother, growing things, little viney looking things. So, but yeah, it did start out rocky at first. He had a famous name for me with dropping F-bombs all of the time, 3 of them in a row. That was my name for a while. He would use the B word. So, it was like F-bomb, F-bomb, F-bomb. But my son and I, we were able to gain his trust by being consistent, by keeping our word. And also they can see your heart. They also, there's a lot of things about them, but just because they can see your heart doesn't mean that they're going to trust you. And they're very friendly. A lot of people that do remote viewing to the property are greeted by them. The difference between a ghost and an elemental or fae is that the elementals and fae will meet you at the gate. And the ghost will kind of linger back a little bit to watch you, to see what you're doing until you bring out Blinky and have them touch the ball. So Bruce does, Bruce does like to play with the flashlight. He really loves the flashlight, and he'll be very happy to immediately come on and visit with you. And he's just so jolly and happy all of the time. And with that, he's got that French accent, and everything is, oh, Cher, you're back again. And it just he kind of watches over the property. And like I said, he has crossed over. He has chosen to come back to visit the property, which of course you can be 6 places simultaneously in death, whereas we are also 6 places simultaneously in life, where we have paralleling lives on the planet, not necessarily on this, but throughout the galaxies, everywhere. It's kind of, somebody explained it with, when we come in, when our soul leaves, it's kind of like having a pool table with a triangle with the balls and the triangle, and then you've got the white ball. You take the triangle thing off, and then you hit it with the white ball, and they just disperse. They go, and that's kind of what our soul does. So we do have 6 lives simultaneously going on, and sometimes they do ripple one into the other. So mace will really help your other lives too. But there's just so many things that I'm learning. I think I had mentioned to you before that that Bob had talked about. Bob's name is blah, 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 and I can't pronounce it. So I said to him, I said, there is no way, like Rumpelstiltskin, there is no way. I said, how about if we call you something? You want Ed? And he kind of looked funny. I said, what about Bob? And he's like, he's okay with Bob. So we call him Bob. And, I've learned so many things. He was telling me that, and I think I might have mentioned this on a show, your show before, but I'll mention it again because it's very interesting how a vegetable seed has the ability to analyze your saliva. So if you expectorate on that seed before you plant it, it can analyze your saliva and find any deficit in your system that you might need balanced out for your own health and healing for that matter. And then when you plant it, that vegetable grows with all of the components that you need and are lacking as well to so that when you eat it, you get all of the nutrients to balance out your body in that way. And I thought that that was very, very interesting. To that he would do that. But did you want me to talk about more of the difficulties with them that we started out with? And you have the pic.
Go ahead. I'm
You have,
trying to. I don't know. You're on your cell phone, right?
yes.
So you sent those to me on Messenger.
Yes. I also have a picture of the blue night fae. However, it is not my picture. That picture, I took a picture of the blue night fae that look identical to the ones in the picture that I have. But when I was looking online to try to figure out what they were, because they call them also blue flares or something like that, when I found them, I took a picture of that picture to compare it to my picture and then accidentally erased my picture.
Oh, wow.
So the picture that I have is someone else's picture of those, but the two pictures that I sent you are mine. So I didn't add the blue fae in there, the blue night fae. I mean, I can send you those too if you want. Do you want me to send them to you now?
I saw these. I see the fae now. Mm-hmm. This was on Thursday.
Yeah.
And then that's the only one that I have.
You only have one or two?
I have one picture, and it's a fae.
Okay, is it the pretty colored one?
Yes, it's got blue and violet, and there's some almost rainbowish type effects off of it.
Yes, it's beautiful. Let me send you another one really quick. Let me see if I can do this.
I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to get them on here. Right now,
is it better for me to send them to? Is it better? Would it be better? Well, I don't have a way to send them to you just in regular Messenger. I just have the Facebook Messenger one.
Well, if you can go ahead and
here's another one.
Gosh, I'm trying to think.
This is the Mother Queen I just sent you. Here's another one that landed on the ground that actually came out of the sky. Whoop, ignore that. Ignore the second one of my face with my eyes shut. But the one with it, you can actually came down in an orb and landed on the ground and started to enlarge. So please don't put the one of my face up on there. Let's see here. Let me find.
I'm just trying to. I can download them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm having brain farts here, trying to figure out how I'm going to do this.
Oh, let's not even go. Let's not even go there. I'm like brain dead half the time lately.
Let's do this. I have them here, and I will send them to the people that are here tonight after we finish the show.
Now I'm going to send you a picture of the blue fae. However,
isn't that the one I have from Thursday?
No, this is a picture that is the one that I just sent you now. The ones on Thursday are my pictures. The one that I just sent you of the Queen Mother is my picture. But the picture that I'm sending you now of the blue fae or blue fairs, whatever you want to call them, is someone else's picture. That's the one. I have probably 30 of those on the property. They like to come with the solstice, and they come and go because they make these mounds on the property that they sleep in and come and go, and they prefer the bioluminescent beaches where their mounds are as well, which they stay most of the time, and they come and go through portals. But I'm giving this picture. I want to make it clear If anybody looks it up, this one is originally not mine, but because I erased mine by accident. The one that I took with my camera, I erased by accident, but this is what they do look like. But the other ones are mine. So, and they're going to
Okay.
be coming out in my book. Here, I'm going
I
to send a
have.
close up so that you can actually see their face close up. You can see their ears, you can see their face. They have that
Yes.
energetic thing from their heart to their throat chakra. They
I
almost
have.
have a little bit of a pig snout looking nose. Pardon me?
I have 2 from Thursday now.
Okay. And I just sent you a
And
couple of others.
okay, let me go down. Okay, you repeated the one
Yes.
with the almost like the deer type antlers that branch
That
out on the ends.
Yes, that's the queen mother. She's the one that stands
Okay.
about 5 feet tall, and when she stands up, because she stands up 90% of the time, and she walks on her hind legs. She does not walk on all fours. She looks like a walking log. So,
Okay.
uh,
The next one is who?
okay, let me see which one you're looking at.
I'm
Oh,
looking at the second one.
yeah, the second one is actually an orb that came out of the sky that landed in the yard that started to manifest and get larger. You can actually see the being inside of it with the dark hair and the little
Yes.
arms. It's like you can see it. And if I
Yes.
can find the other things, that's a close up of it. It actually is in a round orb and that's sitting on the grass. So there's a little bit of you can see kind of the grass in the background. And the thing is too, is sometimes I hesitate to send some of these things out because there's so many people. That word that makes me gag is
Yeah.
pareidolia.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, it
Yes.
makes if
Yes.
it makes just because you can't see what I'm seeing doesn't mean that it's not there. Just you don't have the ability to see what I see.
I
So,
I agree with you 100%.
and
And the blue ones, the last ones are the blue ones,
those are the
and
night
and
fae.
and those are beautiful.
Aren't they
Absolutely.
gorgeous? Though they are actually just under 2 feet tall. I'd say between a foot and a half and 2 feet tall. They're all identical. They all look the same. They have no sex as far as that goes. Those are very neutral. There's not like a male or female, but they're gorgeous. They all look the same. They have that energy between their heart chakra and their throat chakra that then goes up. They have ears that look kind of like rabbit ears. Um, well, not rabbit ears, but their ears are, yeah, uh, they're
The,
they're not as big as rabbit ears, but they're more elongated than like Bob's ears are more on top, more towards the top of his head, and he looks more like one of the bankers from Harry Potter.
but
When
you haven't got a picture of Bob here, have you?
No, and I told him when I was
That's,
there maybe 2 times ago, I said to him, I said, I'd really, really, really like to see you in physical form because I catch him out of my peripheral vision. And he would stand at the bottom of the stairs and he would try to show me a clearer view of his face, but it was like rippling rainbows, like that energetic
okay.
way
Okay. I
rippling.
know.
So I wasn't
Like
able to, pardon me?
like a heat wave type
Yes,
thing
exactly.
on the pavement.
Right, but he would put his face into it almost like it was cellophane, and kind of push through so I could see a little bit more of the features. But the thing is that particular night, we had a lot of fae come into the room. The room filled. My son was there with me, and they were just joyous. I mean, they were looking at everything. My son was on his computer, and the one was sitting on his stack and on his desk, and they're like, "Wow," they're like, "What's that?" So, but the thing is that Bob went behind the sectional that we have in the living room and he went across the back of the couch with his fingers like a piano. And his hands were the color of the rock that belonged to him, but he had 4 fingers and they were fat like sausages. I expected them, you always think of things as a little bit creepy, that they're gnarly and bony and looking, but they're not. They were fat like sausages. He had 3 main fingers and a thumb. So it was kind of like he was missing a pinky finger. But the thing about it is the nail bed on his hands are similar to ours, only instead of coming out in the front rounded, they come out in the front pointed, but they don't go over the skin of the finger, but just a little tiny bit, because he does work in the sand, and that's kind of like a little pick for him, the way that is. And they're very clean. His hands looked similar to the color of the rock, but also the texture of the rock, but not hard. And when I looked closer at his hands, it wasn't because they were rocky. It's actually that he had roots running through his hands that made him look kind of scaly, even though they were not scaly, if that makes sense. I mean, none of this makes sense because it's not like human stuff. So, and again, I don't care if people believe me or not. I'm absolutely thrilled that I've been gifted with the honor of being able to be trusted by them. And yeah, I just to me it's just, oh my God.
It's just beautiful. It's beautiful.
It is. It is. And I would in that rock, I would guard it with my life. I would. Nobody will ever take that rock again. Well, you can't find it. I know where it is, but what was that?
That I hit the wrong button, and I went to a video of a lady that's got one of those. Remember Beretta? The series Beretta.
Yes, yes, yes.
And he had that big white bird.
Yes, I remember.
Okay,
Beretta.
this person has a white bird like that.
Cockatoo.
Just goes crazy at the girls in the house, and argues with them, and and struts back and forth, and goes at them and tries to attack them. And she'd be on the couch and she'd have her feet up, and he couldn't get at her.
Yeah, they're
off the couch. Oh, it's insane.
Yeah, my sister used to breed those. Those were some of the birds in her aviary. She had African grays and things like that. But yeah, I mean, we did go through a rough patch until he trusted us. And then once that trust was made, then all of the other ones started to kind of come up on there. But there also was a period within the last year that there was a spirit, because the house was not occupied. There were renovations and things being done on it because the house needed a lot of repair. But there was one spirit that was kind of wandering along and noticed that the house was empty and decided that he was going to come and stay. And there were a couple of other spirits that kind of followed along, as I had mentioned, my word, feral spirits. I'm sure we're going to start hearing that used more often. But there were feral spirits because there was nobody in the house, that they were like the cat's away, the mice will play kind of thing. And I had to round all of those up, and I had to place them in an area off to the side of the house where they could rest and have a designated spot. They don't come in the house anymore. They don't bother. They're happy resting there. But this one being was a very, very angry male spirit that did come into the house, and he was not pleasant to the Fae and Elementals, because some of the darker energies and spirits of people can adversely affect them. Of course, they stand up their own as much as they can, but there are some things that they can't fight against either. So I had to go in again and call on some people, and had to go in myself and clean out again all of that the area, because the sour soil had been cleared energetically. A lot of love had been infused in it. It had been cleared. It took a lot of work to do that. And a lot of darkness didn't want us to do that, because of the fact that there are a crossroad of ley lines directly underneath that house. So the house sits right on the crossroad. So it makes it kind of like it's a portal, because we get all kinds of stuff that comes through there. Some things, my son, he was sleeping upstairs one night. He was home alone, and he about 3:00 in the morning, he was awakened by my mother supposedly standing next to his bed, and it woke him up. And he's like, "Grandma," he's like, "what are you doing? I got to get up for work in 2 hours." "Not now." come back at another time type thing. And he was kind of surprised because usually when spirits have crossed over, they're not invasive like that. They'll come in your dreams or they'll come at a better time. And he had to keep telling them, you need to go, Grandma. You're bugging me. I want to go back to sleep. And when she turned, and she had three, there were a total of four of them, including her, and there were three other ones with her spirits that he did not recognize. And when she turned, she had a reptilian tail coming out from the back of her. So he realized in that moment that it was not Grandma, that it was something presenting and posing as Grandma, so that he would be willing to allow it to stay, because there always has to be that invitation, that element of being invited for some of those things to be allowed to stay. So we have had some of those things come through, but again, that was when the soil was sour. We have cleared all of that out, and the energy is on the property is it's
fantastic is what
it is. It is absolutely fantastic. You can actually sit on the ground and feel them touching you. They will come up and touch you. They like to tie your hair in knots. So if you come on the property and you have long hair, they will play with it during the nighttime and tie it in knots. But to them, they're beauty knots. To us, they're tangles. So, but when when you've got them all over your head, something has been kind of playing, and they do pick up things. They're funny as hell sometimes. They ran off with my son's shorts, and he couldn't find him anywhere. And and he wanted him, and we're looking all over the house for these shorts that he wanted to wear, because all of his laundry was dirty. He hadn't washed it yet, and that was his last clean pair of shorts. And they were gone. They were silky and shiny and black, and they like shiny things. And all of a sudden, it's like, look, you got to give us back his shorts. And lo and behold, we go down, and they're literally laying on the love seat in the living room. And it's like, look, here's your shorts. I mean, we both had passed that love seat at least 10 times, and they definitely were not there. So they do that as well. They love shiny things. They just, yeah, I just feel so fortunate to be engaged with them. I really, really do. And
I'm glad that your whole attitude about them is entirely different than anybody else that I've talked to when it comes to elementals. Fae are a different story to me. I've never had any issues with always being fascinated by them, where the elementals were more the crawly things.
Yes, they are.
That we saw. I mean, they were. We have one haunted location that they would crawl, and they would come down the wall, and they'd go across the floor, and they'd go up on the ceiling.
Yes, they do. They do, and they'll hide
and
underneath.
Things like.
Yep. Sorry.
No, that's so. What I want to do is I want to go ahead, and what I'm going to do is I'll send the pictures that you gave me. You tell me which ones that I could do it to, and what I'll do is I'll just put them on my page.
Okay, that's fine.
If that's okay, that's the easiest way to do it, because I can't. I don't want to go ahead. Go ahead.
Do me a favor and make sure that people understand that they're my pictures. They are copyrighted. They're going into my book, but you do have permission to put them there with that acknowledgement. I want to tell you, the elementals, the ones that are crawling on your walls and things like that, they're gifts actually. And my son in the apartment that he's living in right now, he has one that has a little squeaky voice that lives underneath the cabinet in his bathroom, and it does come out and crawl on the wall, and it looks he described it almost kind of lizard looking. And I mean, I have one here. My daughter, where she was living, she also had one, and she actually, when it was dropped off, she saw the elemental come into her room and leave it, and they're harmless. But they creep people out, because they will crawl up your walls, they will crawl on your ceiling, they will crawl on your bed. But if you communicate with them and make friends with them, they're guardians. So
do you think that they're associated with Native Americans?
I
Do you
don't.
think that
The
you th-
being that brought the one in for my daughter, with the way that she described it, was a hooded being, but not in the sense of dark hooded. It was a brown. It was a brown
yeah,
caped thing that actually, turned and she could see the face, but something like a woodland kind of thing,
okay.
that brought it in. I'm not sure if they are, everybody always wants to talk about the Native Americans and how they connected them, but really the Native Americans kind of betrayed them too. And they weren't real happy with them either. But I think that once people start to acknowledge them, then you're going to start to see more of it. And if you do get one, I mean, they'll knock stuff off of your wall sometimes. It's not a demon, people, and it's not a ghost. If you do get the opportunity to see it, you might even be able to hear it, and they like my son said, his has a little squeaky kind of grumbly squeaky voice, and he'll sit out things for it in his bathroom. You know what I'm saying? Because it
Yeah.
likes to stay underneath his bathroom cabinet most of the time. But yeah, I mean, all of this is new that we're learning. We're seeing this stuff more often now because of the veils thinning.
Right.
So, and
I never saw elementals until like 4 years ago.
yep, yep. And you're going to start
And
seeing them more than
it's
that.
see and this all was associated with property that had Native American burial grounds on it.
And
And these were leaving the burial grounds, and these were coming into this building that was about maybe 80 yards away from it.
oh,
And
wow. Okay.
it was the reason they say that they were upset was because there was another burial ground that was further down from this one, but they built the train through there, and they didn't pay any attention to the burial grounds, and they knocked one whole mound. They destroyed it.
Wow.
So the elementals, they say, were quite hostile because of this, and this is
Oh,
why
I'm sure.
they behaved like that when they went into the school. And so I love your perspective to the extent that now I know that you could talk to them too.
Yes, they can hear you. And that's another thing too, people. Oh, remind me to tell you about the fairy crosses. But that's another thing too. Recently, that it's come to me. If you have loved ones that have crossed over, never, ever, ever stop talking to them out loud. They can hear you the same as you can hear Greg and I talking. They still have that sensory, and they have ways that they can let you know that they're there. Sometimes they'll leave a feather or a penny, or they'll leave something that a hair or something that's very, very lightweight, or something. You'll smell their perfume, or you smell their the smell of their pipe if Grandpa used to smoke a pipe, or different things like that. You might even smell an odor that is unique to them, but might not be a pleasant fragrance, but it won't be something that is a turn off either. But yet, it's distinct. Like maybe if one of them had an infection or something when they were dying, you could smell that. You might smell a little bit of that. Whatever it is that they would do to leave to let you know that they're there. The fairy crosses.
Right.
When Jesus was put on the cross, I was told that he was nailed through his wrists, not his hands.
Right.
Bob was actually there. And he was telling me about Jesus and what a magnificent being he was. He said that he appeared to be Middle Eastern, that his hair had a little bit more of a reddish tint to it than the brown, but because it was so luminescent that sometimes it would be golden and shimmer because of the light that came through. He said that his eyes were sometimes a beautiful soft brown color, but would shift into this gorgeous sapphire blue. So his eyes would change. But the thing is there are these fairy crosses. They're stones that when Jesus was hung on the cross, the Fae and elemental realms cried so hard that their tears went into the ground and created these stones that naturally form, and they look like crosses.
Wow.
And I have some, actually, and when you touch them, the energy is unbelievable in those, if you're sensitive to that at all. So, they've been through so many events that they can share and tell you because they were actually there. The thing about Fae and elementals is they do not reincarnate, like we as humans do. They were created at the time that Earth was created, and they lived for a very, 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 very long time. So, but they do not reincarnate, is what I've been told, or at least the type that Bob does not. So I don't, I'm still learning. I'm not an expert. Nobody is ever an expert in any of the fields, because when you think you've got it, you get thrown a curveball. I was into paranormal and I got thrown this curveball, and I'm like, what? So, and I'm so grateful that I did, because it shifts things into more of a light than into the darkness type
Right.
thing, which is
It's definitely in the light.
Yeah, which is kind of the angle that I'm kind of trying to head more into that, because, realizing some of the things with the way that thoughts work, and even people watching movies, you don't seem to realize that even those violent movies, you are visually seeing that, you are metabolizing it and rationalizing it in your brain. Therefore, it's bouncing around like a ping pong ball in your head. But while it's doing that, it's coming right back out into the universe, putting that negativity out there. So, people need to be more aware of what they're watching, what they're listening to, what video games that they're playing on there, because even though it's not real, the movie is a movie, the game is a game. You are still projecting that energy while you're playing it into the atmosphere, and the universe doesn't, what's the word I'm looking for? It doesn't understand joking. It does not understand speaking in jest or sarcasm. What you say and what you put out is exactly what you get back. And so you need to be very, very clear and take control over your mind. Is such an amazing, tool that way. And of course, your heart is too. They've actually found that the heart also has memory, which is very,
And
very interesting.
that
So
would be totally respect,
yes,
as
yep,
far as how you would go ahead and treat any individuals, or any fae, or any of the elementals. It would be
exactly.
all,
Exactly.
and they could read your heart, I bet. Right.
Yes, they can. Sometimes, even though they can read your heart, they don't care because they're pissed off. You know what I'm saying? But the thing is so
Well,
when you do pick up a rock, you might want to put it back, because it might
yeah.
belong to somebody. You know, when I went to the Louisiana house this last time, which was about 5 weeks ago, I'm going again in October. Um, when I pulled onto the street, and of course it's this 2 acre lot, and it's got this very, very tall, like 8 foot fence all around the entire property, and you can't get on it until you open the gate to enter in to the driveway. And lined on both sides of the street was this carpet, and I have a picture of it. This carpet of purple wild pansies, just thick, lining both sides of the street that I had to drive down in the front of my house. And
Wow.
when I turned into the driveway, and there were beautiful, there had to be like 25 or 30 yellow butterflies flitzing in and out of those beautiful purple. Yeah, no joke. And they were all over these purple pansies. And so when I pulled into the driveway to open the gate to pull in, 10 feet into the driveway was a perfect cattail, where something had broken it off, and it had been placed in the middle of the driveway where I would see it when I'd opened the gate. was
Oh,
a
wow.
cattail. So they had left me a gift. Apparently some bird or something had carried it there and dropped it. But of course, they helped pick it out and made it was in perfect condition. And so they welcomed me. They had things set up to welcome me and my arrival. And I mean, I was so honored, for them to be that loving that they gave me. They literally rolled out the purple carpet. So,
Right.
for me to come. And like I said, I've got pictures of it with the butterflies and everything. My son, when he came in a couple of days after I did, and he was going to go to mow the grass, and you have to mow this front area in front of the fence, which of course was where the purple carpet of wild pansies were. And he said that the motor on the lawnmower kept stalling out as soon as he'd go to start to mow that, and something just told him, no, you don't mow this. You can go mow over there, but you can't mow this. And so he didn't. He finally, after it stalled out like the third time, he's like, okay, I get it, I'm sorry. And he went back the other way and never mowed any of it, literally. And they can do that. It was a gift to me, for the arrival. And the funny thing is too, is before I had arrived there, they were all excited because they were saying that the next door neighbor had put in a swimming pool, and they were all up excited in a good way about that water in that swimming pool being there. And so I asked my maintenance worker, and I said, hey, did one of my neighbors put in a swimming pool? Because where my house sits, it sits in the middle of the 2 acres, and there are neighbors in the distance on both sides. One's a little bit closer, one's a little bit farther. So I
Yeah.
asked my maintenance worker, I said, hey, did any of my neighbors put in a swimming pool? And he says, yeah. He says, and they play really good music while they're out there too. So somebody had put in a swimming pool, and I had no idea, but I was told that the swimming pool had been put into place. So when I got there, of course, there was this swimming pool that was there of the neighbors that were at a farther distance away. And I'm like, oh, there it is, So, and they were just all excited about that whole
Oh,
pool
wow.
thing. Yeah. So it just, yeah, I can't express the gratitude that I have and the love and admiration that I have for the Fey and Elemental realms. And believe me, there is a respect there, and I am aware that they can be, stinkers if they want to, but they they're not doing that with me, because I have so much love to give them. I do. And like I said, I've got Bob addicted to Oreos and beignets. And so, I put those out and they disappear. And of course, he can change into animals and things like that will eat it. I mean, there's no way that anything can get in that fence. The whole reason why the
Right.
fence is around the property is to keep the alligators out, because it's near water and alligators used to come into the yard. So I had to put, my sister put this big fence around that's reinforced at the bottom in most places to keep the alligators out.
Wow.
So nothing can, unless it can climb over the fence, can even get in there. And they've got a pretty good climb if they're climbing up like 8 feet.
Yeah.
So it just yeah, and it's always gone. Whatever I put out is always gone. Do you hear that pounding?
No.
You don't. Is it on my end?
Was it this?
Yeah. What is that?
That's a fingernail.
Oh, a fingernail. Are you tapping?
Yeah, I was.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. But
No, I was. I was just. I didn't realize I was even doing it.
that's okay. But yeah, so I am writing books about that. And the third book is going to be very dynamic, because it's going to be very deep into the realms of things that they haven't even fully disclosed to me yet. They talk about, and in the second book that I'll be writing, they do talk about the crystalline cities in the ocean, and they have people like us living there. And with their power of their minds, they're able to create walls out of water, if that makes sense. I mean, you can literally stick your hand in them and your hand will get wet, but yet with the power of their mind, they can make the walls stand up. And there are 3 different buildings there in like the central city area. One is for meditation. One actually creates everything that they need to sustain themselves on in that crystalline city. And the third one is communication with outer space and higher things that we can't even communicate with because we don't have the ability. And the thing about it is they create, there's this ball candy thing that they create that they consider a toy for the children because they don't eat like we do. They don't need to eat like we do. And so they allow the children to have these flavored balls as toys because then they can experience something different or fun, so to speak. So these balls are actually flavored. And that was something that I thought was very, very interesting, that the kids kind of, they're kind of like those hard balls. What do they call those? Jawbreakers. They're kind of like that with flavors, and it's considered a toy since they don't eat. They still get to have fun with that. But a lot of other things that I learned too is that, like for instance, and I'm shifting to the bioluminescent beaches that the Night Fae live on. They have these mounds on there, and when when they go into the mounds, they have light, and what they have is they have this seed looking thing that they put another seed inside of, and they rotate it, and when they rotate it, the seed inside of the larger seed lights up and illuminates, and that's how they light the inside of their large mounds that they go in and out at the top. Yeah, so I mean, I've learned so many just amazing things that I'm going to be sharing. Those will be in the second book. In the third book, I'm excited. I had literally, when they asked me to write the 3 books, I made mention to you that I kind of balked on it because I didn't. They're so precious. I didn't want people to, treat them with disrespect. And humans aren't of the mindset where, some of them are not of the mindset where they wouldn't be able to resist wanting to own one. So, but I even said to them, I said, listen, if you want me to write these books, I need to get paid while I'm writing these books because this is going to take a while. And they assured me that all of my needs financially would be taken care of. And I'm going to tell you that they kept their word. They have kept their word. I had filed my income tax last year, and they told the guy told me that it would take, that they were running behind, that it would take at least a month or 6 weeks for that to get deposited into my checking account. And that's just the way that it was. They were running way, way behind. And lo and behold, I got mine in 3 days.
Wow.
Yeah, and this was that same day that I filed my taxes was the day that I had this conversation with the Fae about, the finances, and they came right up and kabam. And then I had this other thing that I was waiting for as well, that I was in the process of getting, and it had been a while that I had been waiting for it. And all of a sudden, out of the blue, I get this phone call that it's on the way, literally within like a month of that. And it was something that was still supposed to take another year, a year and a half or so for me to even, for it to be able to not liquidate. What's the word I'm looking for?
Oh boy.
Yeah, it's something with my mother's estates, for it to ripen or to mature before
It's
the
a mutual
something like that.
fund.
Yes, something like that the attorney's office was handling, and all of a sudden, kabam! I get this call that it's on the way, and then FedEx brings it to my door. So they have kept their word about everything that they promised me that they were going to do. I don't have expectations and demands. I did let them know that I would need to, eat and survive, and they've made good on it. So
Well, we'll make sure I have 5 pictures, and I will post them on my page
Okay, just
And
not the one, just not the one of my face that I accidentally
no,
sent you.
no, I won't send it. I won't put that one up.
Okay.
And I will post those pictures. And we need to go ahead and have another show.
Yes.
I would say probably maybe November.
I would love that. I would absolutely love that.
Okay.
Oh, and also, I'm still waiting to hear um, from Ron Patton, who is the gentleman that does the Ground Zero. There were some different things that they were doing with it, some things that were changing. Supposed to be going out to like 600 radio stations because of life events that have occurred for him. It hasn't happened yet. I think I had mentioned to you that they were looking for a female host and they had asked me to
Right.
do it. So as soon as that happens, I'm going to be having you on my show.
Okay.
You know, to have you, you know, it's all over the United States. It's Canada. It's kind of like a coast to coast kind of thing. Actually,
That's
it's all,
awesome.
you know what I'm saying. So it'll put it's that radio show combined with a podcast so that members that come in can see the podcast part of it, but otherwise it's all put out over the radio. So yeah, definitely I'll have you back with mine
That would
as
be
well.
spectacular.
So
I'll go ahead and I'll post those pictures
okay.
of the Fae, and I will leave them up for a week.
Okay,
And,
that's fine.
and then I will pull them down. They're still on my phone.
Okay.
If you want them back, I can send them back to you.
No, I have.
They're not going. They're not going anywhere.
Yeah,
You
no,
know, they're
I have.
fantastic.
Yeah, I have them on my phone, but aren't they mind blowing, Greg?
I can't believe it. I mean, they're beautiful.
Yeah, I had another friend look at them, and I have some that are color enhanced, but I didn't send out the ones that are color enhanced because I don't want anyone to be able to say that they've been altered in any way.
Right.
You know what I'm
right.
saying? So I
Well,
appreciated that the person did that, and I keep those private to myself. But these are not touched up, altered, nothing.
okay.
So
And
yeah.
I want to thank you for being here tonight. I know, you went out of your way and, with not being able to go ahead and have me have the opportunity to have you live. And I feel bad about what happened with my volume and all the crap. It seemed it all went at the same time. And like we said, it was like somebody didn't want us to go ahead and mention something. So,
well, we mentioned it anyway.
yeah, we did. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So and we had a great time.
Yeah.
And
anytime.
Ahead.
And I appreciate so very much you having me on your show. I didn't mean to interrupt you. There's a little bit of a delay,
No.
so I apologize. But it's always you and I, we have such a great connection that it just flows so well. And I really, really appreciate the opportunity to have the format to put these things out, hopefully enlightening people's lives, making their life better, letting them have another understanding of some of the, some of the things that are coming for that matter, so that they'll be prepared. And
what I'll put in the post too, when I post the pictures, I will say that if anybody has any other questions, they can contact you.
Yes. Now, do me a favor, and the one with the two blue ones, don't post that one because that one is not, that one's not mine. Like I said, I have those on the property and I had a picture of them. When I found the one that you have was someone else's picture that I was trying to compare to determine what they were. Okay. And then I accidentally erased mine. I don't want to use
that's the one directly underneath your face.
Yes, the two blue ones. Okay. I don't want someone to come out and say that I used their images. I don't need to because I can, I get pictures of stuff. Yeah.
I know a few people that would be very interested to see these anyway, because one of them, she's out in, I want to say, New Mexico. Mm-hmm. And she does a lot of stuff with orbs and sees a lot of really unbelievable things with orbs. So
yes, and there's orbs that land all over that property all of the time. That one that I showed you.
I believe it.
Yeah, there's a lot. And the thing is the orbs show up at night. And when they
Yes.
show up at night, they're opaque. So
Yes.
they're really solid. They're not like bubbles. Well, they're round, but they're more opaque, and you can actually see the beings inside of them. So it
Right.
makes it very, very interesting. But I'm going to be doing retreats. If you and your sweetheart ever want to come out to Louisiana, let me know, and you can come as my guest if you want to, and come and stay for a little while and hang out. And once I start doing that, and so just keep that in mind too.
Okay. Keep me in touch on that. And I will go ahead and do this on the pictures. And once again, I want to say you're absolutely amazing.
Oh, thank you.
This has stopped me dead in my tracks. I feel, where I am on my spiritual path, that I feel pretty strongly about it. But this has given me much more definition as far as some of the things that I've encountered. And it's given me a much more positive outlook. And for that, I thank you.
Oh, well, it's my pleasure. And it's not me. It's just the way it is, so yeah. I'm grateful to be able to share. And again, thank you so very much for having me as your guest.
And if you want to hold on for a few minutes, I'll just go ahead and let everybody go.
And I wanted to
talk.
I did want to say one more thing. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and share it out, people. Don't forget to do that so that you can support the show and the program or whatever. And also anybody in chat, I couldn't see the chat, so please don't feel ignored by me. I love everybody.
Now,
I send you love and light.
There are a few questions or a few things that I will mention to you after we close the show.
Okay, sounds good.
To the chat. Okay?
Okay, yes.
Thanks again, Lynn. It's been an awesome show. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Okay, everybody in the chat, good night, and thank you very much for being here. And I hope you loved it as much as I did. That's all I can say. I can't say anymore, and I don't think I need to. So you guys all have a great evening, and we will see you next Wednesday for more on One Spirit Connect. So you guys have a great night, and I got to mention that to Lynn too. So you guys all have a great evening, and we'll see you later on. Thanks again. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Ha 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 ha.